What is up, everybody? So, I got some exciting news. Some really exciting news. Now, I know when you go to the Rural Tech Fund page right now, it shows $37,000 raised. However, we have $7,500 in right now committed funds that will also be added to the pool probably after this show, but from literally from large vendors that have said we're going to help support the cause. So, guys, we're at $45,000 raised right now for the Rural Technology Fund. Like, come on, guys, let's hit that clapping emoji for ourselves. That is so damn awesome. Like, honestly, it's more awesome than our guest that's coming up, but pretty close. Now, I want to tell you guys a story about our keynote speaker today. So, back in 2021, I had the fortune to speaking on the large stage at IT Nation. And halfway through my talk, someone raises their hand, literally asks a question in the middle of the damn talk. And I go, okay, and I call him. And he goes, "Hey, I want to hire you." Literally, it caught me so off guard. And I'm like, I didn't even know how to respond. I was like, oh, okay. And later he walks up and he shakes my hand with his business partner and says, "Hey, our MSP is growing fast." Now I hear this a lot. And he goes, "Well, we've doubled our size in the last year. We're just over something like 15 million in revenue." I'm like, "Whoa, you went from 7.5 to 15 in 1 year?" And he goes, "Yeah, and I want to be 50 in the next two." And I'm like, "Okay, like, sure, go ahead. Let me talk to you." And over the next couple years, I had the fortune to feeling the energy of this human being that was able to grow his MSP, founder-led, no private equity, to a level that no one in our channel has actually been able to do. It's unprecedented. And when you hear him talk and you see him talk to his people, they're willing to run through doors for him because of the energy that his MSP brings. It's a perpetual motion machine. And if I was to bring a parallel, I am not joking you. This man is the walking version of Ric Flair in our channel. And if you guys know about Ric Flair, let me introduce you guys to Shawn Torres, the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying son of a gun. Shawn,
Yes, sir.
it's all you, brother.
Thank you, man. Well, hey, everybody. I'm excited to be here today. I've had some technical difficulties, but we made it through it. I'm actually in Orlando at a cheer competition. So snuck away to get on here and run through some pretty good content. Um, I named this Make No Deposits, Get No Withdrawals. So super excited to run through what that means to me and kind of how that came about. So first, I'd like to thank everybody for joining, and Kyle, Wes, Alex, Bob. You guys are great. Thank y'all for putting this on. It's incredible to see what you all are doing. So those of you that don't know me, my name is Shawn Torres. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Intelecom. We originally started out as a telco back in 2009, and obviously we've evolved into a full service managed service provider today. Although we still do have our telco division. I started the company when I was 24. I was a Verizon sales rep, knew nothing about telecom, and just got into it and fell into it. I'm a father of three beautiful daughters. Obviously, that's why I'm here in Orlando at this cheer competition. Uh, I founded five companies. The majority of those companies are still operational today. I've sold three of them. Two of them I'm still engaged with today. Obviously, my day today is running in telecom and keeping it moving and shaking. Uh, and then I'm very passionate about faith, family, and fitness. So, and a lot about sales. So that's just what I like to do. It's what I'm good at and what I enjoy. And I hope today the information that I'm gonna bring to you can help you, whether if you're an entrepreneur, an entrepreneur, as we would say, running a department or an organization, or even a first timer as an individual contributor. There's ways you can make deposits and get withdrawals. So, what are we going to talk about today in this session? Um, you know, I'm not going to sit here and bore you with PowerPoints and run through a bunch of pictures. What I like to talk about is the journey and kind of what led to success at our organization. I think, a lot of the questions that I get asked consistently is, how do you grow? Um, I've tried the whole outsource SDR, lead gen. Everybody, so many MSPs out there today tell me they just need more leads. But I don't really think that that's the answer. 90% of the time, they probably wouldn't know what to do with the lead because they didn't have a good sales process that was developed and proven that gets them to the finish line and gets them some wins. And obviously, we're all looking for the win when we're trying to meet with a prospect and get it going. But again, we're going to talk about building a badass business today. I started this company in 2009, not having an idea of what it was going to be. Originally started out to do consulting on the wireless side. Jumped into selling a phone system to somebody and had never installed a phone system a day in my life, and watched YouTube videos and figured it out. And got that thing installed in 2010. And after that, it was kind of like, all right, we can do this. We got a product we can sell. Me and my business partner, Jimmy, who I convinced to quit his job to come on his journey with me back in 2009. We just figured it out. And once we knew we could install a phone system, we just got to selling and started putting it together. So as we were going through that journey, in 2009, we did $8,400 in revenue total. Obviously, for that year, my life was extremely challenging and extremely hard. I went from being a successful sales guy, making money, to taking every dime that I had, opened up a Anytime Fitness. Me and Jimmy had opened up together, and 3 months later, lost my job. So started in telecom in May of 2009, got engaged, got things moving, and obviously had a terrible revenue year. Fast forward to 2010, when we had got an opportunity to sell a phone system, we did 64,000 in revenue that year. So in 2 years, we didn't break $100,000. I went through some phases in my life. I was married. My wife was obviously footing the bill, and she came to me and she's like, "You need to go get a real job." I still joke with her today about my real job and if she enjoys my real job. But what I recognized at that time is I got up every single day and I did the same thing. I got my Toyota Camry and I had my business cards that I printed at Office Depot, and I drove around and I knocked on doors and I introduced myself to every single person that I could possibly meet and to see if I could drum some business. And I did it consistently every day, all day. Fast forward into 2011, my wife gets pregnant. Obviously, there is a real responsibility coming down my way with having my first daughter. So it obviously lit some fire underneath me, and I had to make it work. I told Jimmy that year, we're going to get this thing going. Well, that year we did 265,000 in revenue. So we made a little bit, but not much, not enough for a 50-50 business. Where the first 2 years I was flat broke. So into 2011, me and Jimmy got together and made a decision that we were going to divide and conquer. And I would go into sales full time. He would go into being the technical guy full time. And let's see what we did. And I remember telling Jimmy we were going to do $1 million in revenue that year. Because the way I figured it was, if I did $1 million in revenue, my wife would leave me alone and would let me continue on my journey. And I had already sacrificed 2.5 years of my life trying to get this company going. Well, I'll never forget telling Jimmy that we are going to do $1 million that year. And he looked at me and he said, "Well, how are we going to do that?" And I'm sure I have a lot of MSPs ask me the same question. And I just wrote on a whiteboard, $83,333. And I did that times 12, because if you do $83,333 a month, it equals $1 million. And I held myself accountable to that revenue amount every single day. So whether if I was doing a T&M service call, pulling cable, selling a phone system and getting a project, signing up our first maintenance contract and getting things going, I just held myself accountable. And if I was short 1 month, I obviously had to make it up the next month. and we talked about it every single day. Um, and I got up every day and did the same thing over and over and over again. And I meet so many of these MSPs in the market today, and even young sales professionals, and they ask me, how do you become successful in sales? And I think the main thing is consistency. From my perspective, sales is nothing to do with skill. It has everything to do with will. Will you make the calls? Will you be consistent? Will you follow up? Will you deliver a proposal in a timely manner? Will you follow up after the sale? And I think that's where I see a lot of organizations failing. And I hear from all these MSP owners, and they tell me all the time, "Well, I'm not a sales guy." Well, I hate to tell you all this, but I wasn't technical, and I had to figure it out. Um, Everything can be learned, and if you're willing to make those calls and be able to have conversations and work through trial and error, it's just like fixing your first server or your first desktop when I'm sure you had to screw it up a few times and take a step back and look at it and see what that is. And that kind of goes to why I like to call this talk, make no deposits, get no withdrawals. Because if I look at the deposits that I put in my life to get this company where it is today, this year we're on pace to do 44 million in revenue. So that in that 16-year time frame, going from doing our first million in 2012 to going into 2016 on a $44 million run rate. Obviously, there's been a lot of hard work and effort gone into that. I'm not owned by private equity. I don't have any investors. I have a lot of hard work and dedication into what I'm doing. And I've made a lot of deposits in this organization. One cool, neat thing is I've never deposited $1 into this company. So not one time in my life have I taken any money. I'll take that back. I took $50 out of the gym checking account and opened up the Intellicom checking account in 2009. So, but never ever have had to put money back in, and solely went on getting out there and making it happen every single day. And the saying comes from when I was young. I never forget asking my father for the first time. My parents didn't have a lot of money growing up. My dad was a boat captain. My mom did odd and end jobs. And I asked him, "Dad, I cut the grass. Do you think I can get some allowance?" And he asked me, "How much money did you put in my checking account this week?" And I said, "None." And he's like, "Well, did you eat this week?" "Yes, sir, I did eat." And went right into a very good saying that stuck with me for the rest of my life. He said, "Son, remember in life, if you make no deposits, you get no withdrawals." So, going back to how we correlate that with running your business or even your career and what you're doing within your job, because I see this a lot with young professionals, even in my own organization, that they want a new certification or they want to elevate in their career. Everybody wants to make more money, and I want to make more money tomorrow. But the reality is, I always look and say, like, what's changed in what you're doing today? Um, have you been able to offer more than what you offered yesterday and what we hired you to do? Have you elevated yourself in your own career by getting certifications or getting trainings or working towards personal development? And I think that a lot of people want to be better, but they're not putting in the work to be better. And that doesn't mean you're not going to do your training and your 15% of admin time you get as a technical resource in the organization. How about you put some effort and time and energy into it outside of work? At the end of the day, you're going to benefit no matter if you're with our organization or another. And I think that's what I like to explain to people. And even going back into sales, hire a coach, work to be better. I've hired several coaches in my life to always remain accountable and to be better. Kyle Christensen came in even when we had a big MSP and worked with us and coached us on being a better MSP and a better operator. So I learned a lot by having him in my life and made huge impacts and huge strides to us to get the company to where it is. And again, it was making those deposits to get those withdrawals. When I look at making deposits in your marriage to be a better husband or wife, a better father, to your children, when you think about all those different aspects of things, you have to put those deposits in first. in order to get those withdrawals out. So if you're running a business or you're working in a department or even thinking about going to start your own business and you're not willing to make those deposits every single day, even though there might not be a withdrawal that comes out of it for a time period, I love discussing the story. And I used to always ask people used to always ask me all the time, like, how do you pay yourself? And I said, well, I'm an employee just like everybody else in the company, and I draw a salary. I'll never forget. We were about 8.5 million in revenue in the company, and me and Jimmy were paying ourselves $45,000 a year from the business and not taking distributions because we were making investments in this business in order to continue to scale it and grow. Because building MOR is expensive, and building a foundation of a business, especially when you don't know what the hell you're doing, is very expensive because you're throwing shit against the wall and hoping it sticks and just burning through things. And we've done a lot of that over the years. So, those MSP owners out there today that are $1 million company and you're paying yourself $250,000 a year and you're trying to wonder why you can't get moving forward, or you're having to do everything in the business. That's why you're not leaving anything to invest and move it forward. And there's been stages throughout the time where Jimmy and I have had to take breaks and reinvest back in the business to continue with it moving. And again, I contribute a lot of that to the success and the growth of what we've been able to do. I've had so many MSPs that tell me, their goal is they want to get to 5 million in EBITDA. And once they're 5 million in EBITDA, they're worth a 10X, 12X, whatever it may be. And I'm going to sell my company for 50, 60 million. But then they've been in business for this time frame of 20 years and aren't there. You have to ask, like, what's not working and what's going to change tomorrow to get there. Maybe it is you. Maybe you need to stop trying to be the CEO and bring in a CEO that's more sales driven, that's more visionary driven, that can see the vision and execute on what's there. When I look at the organizations out there that want to grow, obviously, yes, it is hard. But at the end of the day, if you set the objectives of where you want to go, I'll never forget implementing EOS in our organization in 2019. We had struggled to break the $10 million mark. So bringing that structure in and really setting defined goals over a 12-month time frame that are broken up into those quarters and holding yourself accountable to those goals and objectives that you're trying to reach, and understanding where you are is so critical in your business. And if you're not implementing those metrics that help you measure where you are within the quarter and striving towards getting those goals achieved, then you're not doing yourself any justice to grow your business. Or even, if you're working in a business and your teams aren't doing that, at the end of the day, bring that information forward. The more that you help your organization grow, the better you become as an entrepreneur, the more opportunity that you have to make more money, right? A business needs more money and more profit in order to give more money to employees. Just recognize that. Most of them don't just have a tree in the backyard that they can just go pull from. And if your business isn't growing, your organization is not growing. It's a major problem. So I would definitely focus on moving that forward and getting that there. I think it's extremely critical to have that happen and to be setting those objectives. I'll look at the time frame from 2019 to today and just looking at the growth period. I'll never forget bringing in, we had just went from 8.5 to 10 million. We're sitting in our annual, and it was a struggle to go from 8.5 to 10. That hitting that 10 million was brutal to get there. And I never forget when we hit it, we came in the next year, when our annual in January, and we meet for 2 days and we discuss the goals that we want to try to obtain for the year and how we're going to reverse engineer getting to them. And I remember telling the team we're going to do 15 million. I brought on a CFO. Frank Nazario is an incredible guy, incredible asset to our organization. I'll never forget sitting in that meeting that day and everybody in the room telling me we don't have the pipeline to hit 15 million. We just struggled to get to 10 and exerted a ton of whip which is our work in progress, converting revenue to hit 10 million. And uh, they wanted to back down the goal to 12. I got super frustrated, threw my hands down, and was like, paying you all this damn money. We're not backing down on the goal. The goal is 15. I think at the time they really didn't believe me, and I think they just said okay, because obviously I could be a little bit of an aggressor in those meetings. And that year we did 16.5 million. And people ask what happened, and what happened was we set the goals. We broke that 15 million down into chunks, and we got there by into Q3. So I guess what I'm getting at, as you're breaking up your business and trying to get it to where it wants to go, and we owe our staff growth and the ability to make more money and a career path, or they're going to leave and they're going to go find somewhere else to work, and it will create employee churn. Sometimes faster than growth does, because growth can cause that as well. Trust me, I've been there. It's hard. It does create strains on the business, and it is very difficult. So be careful what you ask for, what you're trying to get to, because it is not easy running a big business. But break those things down into those quarterly objectives and really focus on getting on them in that manner. Because if you do, it'll give you some leverage and some ability to be able to drive it forward and get it to where you're trying to go. I think that's what breaks down into focusing on what's making those deposits in order to get those withdrawals that you're all trying to get, which is obviously you want to get your business to a healthy, profitable state to where at some point you can exit. Because I guess always the conversation that I hear at all these conferences is that everybody wants to exit. I've never been in another industry that focuses on the exit more than this industry, which obviously there is a ton of opportunity in this space on the exit. So again, I think focusing on breaking down those chunks. And if I look at what we did and how we structured the organization to continue to scale, it was taking those small chunks in a quarter, understanding what worked, what didn't work. Now, obviously, you have to be realistic with yourself. I was talking to an MSP owner a couple weeks ago, and he told me he's going to bring it from 5 to 10 in 1 year. And I'm not going to say that it's not possible, but then when I look at his track record, and he'd been in business for 11 years and had been stagnant for the last 4, like what was going to change? A lot of people think that you can just go hire salespeople or do some fancy marketing or pay-per-click campaign, and leads are just going to pour in, and you're just going to start making more money. I can assure you from a guy that's done that a few different times and burned through some cash, it doesn't really work that way. I'm not saying that those pieces of components aren't part of the growth of trying to get the business to where you want it to go. But that's the reality, is that's where I think sitting down with your leadership team, whether that be a small group of individuals within your organization that are extremely bought in, or whether that's you and your business partner sitting down and having an understanding of what you're going to work towards in that 12-month time frame, really working on that 3-year goal, that 5-year goal. And obviously we all have heard the term BHAG, our big, hairy, audacious goal, our big, hairy ass goal, whatever you want to call it, on a 10-year plan. I think you do have to stretch, and I think it's okay to have stretch goals within the year. Every year when we go into the year, we look at, we have a set goal, and then we have our stretch goals that are moving towards it as well. So I think it's okay that if you stretch and you reach it, it's great. Obviously, what happens if you don't hit the goal? I think that's when it's time to sit down and really discuss what's working and what's not working, and get a better understanding of how to drive it forward. Obviously, something is holding back where you are. I think a lot of us want to make excuses around, well, I don't know how to sell, or I'm not hiring the right people, or I'm not making the calls, or I'm not getting enough leads in, whatever it may be. I think we can all sit back and make excuses on why we don't hit our goals. But at the end of the day, I've looked at it like nobody's going to save me. So I got to get out there and work towards those objectives every single day to try to create a better life for those around me. At the end of the day, we all go to work to provide for our families and to provide a better future. And us as employers are doing that for our staff, and we owe our staff that ability and that opportunity to grow. And I will tell you, it is a lot of fun with being able to get up and have the conversations we have on a quarterly basis and show them the objectives that we're reaching and kind of the strides we're hitting. I think acquisitions are a play. It's a big question that I get a lot is I'm going to just go acquire 5 businesses and that's how I'm going to grow. And I don't think that's a bad strategy. I think the arbitrage you're trying to get in doing that is you got to be able to, one, provide something for that business. And in my opinion, I think that's an ability to grow. So I think fixing the organic growth side of your business before trying to jump into an acquisition is critical, because if you buy that business and it's stagnant, what are you going to do differently to create some opportunity out of that organization that you just acquired? So I think that having that understanding of what does that strategy look like. I've seen a lot of companies that just want to go in and buy something and roll it in. Again, I'm not going to say you can't do it. I think there needs to be in an organic way to either enter that market or enter that organization that's going to provide some growth. Because if you're just buying businesses and stacking them all on top of each other, when private equity or whoever comes in to acquire, they're going to be looking for obviously an organic growth model, because obviously what they're trying to do is get the return on their investment and what they're putting in, right? And obviously your multiples are going to be a lot higher when you can show that organic growth. So I think in our space, a good numbers, 10% organic growth is strong. We've been blessed in a sense where it's more 25% to 50%. So people say it's not possible to consistently do that. But I've been doing this for 16 years, and we've had that consistency for almost 2 decades now. So I would beg to differ that I don't think what I'm doing is a fluke. I think it's about setting the objectives, being aggressive and pushing your teams every single day to where you're trying to go, setting them up for success and not holding them back, because I've done that myself as well. And then just surrounding yourself with some really kick-ass leaders. And I will tell you, I look at my leadership team today and even some of the folks in middle management, it's a blessing on what we have and what we've been able to create. And obviously that growth and that path, it's much easier to go out and talk to someone that's working for an organization and share the vision and the dream of what you're trying to create inside your organization, especially when you have growth. It's much easier to bring them on and much more exciting because they realize the opportunity that's sitting in front of them. So some advice that I've given to folks in the past is, maybe bring in a partner. If you're an engineer and you're running a $2 to $3 million MSP and you want to grow, why not bring in a strategic partner with some minority shares? It doesn't mean you can't stay in control and you still own the business and sit in the owner's seat, but at least they have a reason to want to drive forth and grow that business, ultimately understanding that you all would make an exit and get paid. If that's your objective may be to turn it to an ESOP and give it to all your staff. It may turn into a family business that you can hand down to your children, that give them opportunity, someday. And I think that all those different things and understanding are leading towards making deposits and getting withdrawals and just staying consistent and beating the drum every single day, even when it is hard. Us as entrepreneurs and even leaders of departments, we get kicked in the face daily, especially in this space. Nobody ever calls us in the IT space and is happy when they call us. So it's just part of it. So we got to recognize that. How do we adapt through that? How do we remain calm and stay consistent? I think that's it. Part as a business owner and entrepreneur, that's the grit you have to run a successful business, because it's not always easy. There will be long nights. There will be long days. That's part of it. It doesn't get any easier as it gets bigger. I can assure you of that. Nothing's gotten easier for me. It actually has gotten harder. So, the best piece of advice I can give you is bring in A players and focus on that. That A player is probably going to cost you 30% more, but I assure you that 30% more in an investment you're making in an A player is going to scale your business 10 times faster. So don't cut yourself short. Um, think about you, and would you go work for an organization and make shit money? Pay your people well, take care of them, and they'll take care of you. Paint the vision, share the vision with them, give them visibility into what's going on. We share our financials with the entire company. I think that's important. This isn't a lifestyle business for me, even though it has created an extremely great lifestyle for me. At the end of the day, I'm still at it every single day, and I work hard and I lead from the front. My team will see that day in, day out. I'll get on the phone. I'll make calls with the BDR team. I'll go close deals with a sales rep, or if I got to go put a switch or a router in play, give me a computer and some patch cables, and let's get to work. I think that's what it's about as running an organization. If you want to build a badass business, then be a badass leader and lead from the front and show them what it's about. Get uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, that's part of what this is. And if you're not getting uncomfortable, I would highly suggest not getting out there and trying to run a big business, because it will make you uncomfortable when you see that payroll hit. That $1 million a month payroll can add some constraint to what you're trying to do. I can assure you of that. So look, it's not easy. But if you just think about the basics and execute every single day, and even though every day of that execution doesn't feel good, that's okay. Get back up and do it again. That's part of it. And if you have to think about the delayed gratification and what you will get on the other side, and just enjoy the process and embrace the suck, because there are days it's going to suck, and it's okay. You will get told no. They will not be nice to you. You will have a lot of people tell you you can't do it. Again, going back to my life in 2010, when my wife told me that I needed to go get a real job or she was going to leave me, I continued to strive and push and move forward, and obviously was able to prove her wrong. And at the end of the day, I believed in myself. I didn't need anybody to believe in me. Just like every single day today, I believe in myself and my ability and what I can do. And I believe in the people that are around me and the things they're doing and the greatness that they're creating inside this organization. Because again, it's incredible to watch. I remember leaving my annual this year almost mind blown with just the conversations that were going on with the leadership team, as me and Jimmy just kind of sat there and let them run it and do what they needed to do. Just incredible. I mean, it's something that I could never do from that perspective. So super exciting to see them continue to grow and strive to move our business to be a privately held $100 million MSP, because I can assure you we're going to do that without private equity, without somebody coming in and invest in us, and we're going to do it on our own. So that's my story. I don't even know where I'm at on time. I can sit here and ramble on this all day. I did want to leave some time for questions. Guys, I don't know if y'all can drop down the PowerPoint and put the chat
Yeah,
up.
Shawn, I can help you at this point. Yeah, you can go ahead and close the PowerPoint. So first and foremost, Shawn, as always, your story and your journey is fucking crazy. I don't know a better way to say it, man. And I think if there's one thing that I would love for you to comment on, is it's the constant change and having to adapt to the constant change. Can you make some comments on me for that?
Look, man, if you're not willing to change and willing to pivot, Delano Collins, our CIO, talks about velocity a lot, and change is inevitable when you're building your business, because the way you ran a $5 million business to a $10 million business to a $15 million business to a $30 million business is all different. And the reality is, like, so many people get caught up and say, like, we can't change. I can tell you, we have changed so much in our organization, and it causes turnover. There's been bad change, and it is what it is. And Kyle was sitting in these meetings and multiple quarterlies with me as we change nonstop. And it's part of it. And if you think that this space, especially in the MSP space, cannot have extreme velocity and the ability to pivot and change very quickly, you are in trouble because I look at what we're doing and we're constantly changing systems, process, people, the structure, packaging, you name it. And I look at what that's been able to do to the business. And that's why you have some of this growth is we're not afraid of change. We embrace change. We embrace the suck and the scary and the unknown of what's it going to be like when this happens. And, who gives a shit? If you're willing to go in and every single day and sometimes you're going to make bad change. So it is what it is. It's just part
Well,
of
and
it.
I want to share a story because while change is scary, and for all of you MSPs that are on this call right now, I don't care what you tell me right now, you all hate change. And in that, you called you. I was hanging out your office, and you said, "Hey, come in my office real quick." And I come into your office, and you go, "Hey, I'm about to fire a guy." And I'm like, "Oh," and you just call him into the office, and I'm sitting right next to you. And if one thing that I loved from the experience is when you were having a very real conversation, I think it was a sales rep or an account manager, I can't remember what. You were very transparent and like, "Hey, what do I expect from you? What are we trying to accomplish at Intellicom?" And he literally could rattle off every expectation that you had set for those goals. And then you ask him, "Well, what are you performing?" And he goes, "Well, I'm not." "Okay, what did I tell you last time? That if you did it, that I would be gone." And then the guy started apologizing, and he was so, like, proud to have worked for you and the pressure you had put on him. And I know there's perspectives in this story that you could be like going, "Oh, Kyle's a dick for sharing this, and Shawn's a dick for doing it
No,
that
no,
way."
look, it's
But the
accountability, man.
transparency is what I wanna touch on.
And if you
Everyone
do
in
it,
Intellicom knows exactly what the hell you guys are trying to accomplish.
yes. And we talk about it every single day. We talk about where we are and what's going on. We vocalize it. We vocalize it when it's not going well. We focus on negatives because negatives are opportunities for us to be better, and we push and strive to get there. So again, remember, um, sometimes those negatives, if you're not willing to bring them to light and have conversation around them, it's extremely important. So
So, Shawn, we have a bunch of questions, so I wanna get to them.
well, let's get them from my back.
So
He runs out on this thing.
So if you want to go to the screen so you can see these, how do I get my leadership to change to have the same drive? Because we just don't.
Look, I think it's having that conversation, and if your leadership's not having that drive and change inside the organization, walk in the room and challenge them. I think it's important to challenge the organization. I've had people challenge me in my organization, and I think that's okay. Healthy conflict is very good in your business. If you're not having conflict in your leadership meetings, that's a problem. That means you got a bunch of yes men in the organization. They should be heated. Sometimes ours are extremely heated, and it's just part of it. So I think hit it head on. I'm the type of person that I like to face it and jump in. When I was working at Verizon, I did the same shit. I would walk into a room and be like, "Why are we doing this dumbass meeting? This makes no sense. I could be out doing A, B, C, or D." So yeah, somebody wrote, "Get a new job." Yeah, maybe so. Look, if it's not working, think about where you work, and if your leadership team is not striving to be better, again, we owe that to our staff as leaders of organizations. I think that's extremely important, and that's one thing that I've committed myself to. Did your company or work change? Hell yeah, it changed. Hell, it's been real bad. It's been real good. It's ebbs and flows. It's bobbing and weaving. We've had turnover. It's part of it. If you think you're not going to go scale your business at this extreme growth and not have some of that happen, there are impacts. I'm not saying that I'm proud of it, but at the end of the day, I want people that are not putting holes in my boat and sinking me. I'm looking for people that are bailing water out so we can move things forward. And sometimes that change is good. And sometimes that rough culture is good and we learn from it. I mean, when everything gets all screwed up, I think that's when I shine the best and have a better understanding of what to do. Mario Andretti said, if everything's under control, you're not going fast enough. And that's just my theory. I've had so many people tell me over the years, we need to slow down and we need to stop selling and we need to fix all this shit. Hell no. I think that's the reality is that you got to change the tires while you're going 1,000 miles an hour in a space and keep it going. Yeah, look, but if you don't have the right culture, right accountability structure, they too shall fail. That is a fact. So you got to preach it and you got to be it. And I'm about it. Kyle's telling you, I hold people accountable. What was the cause of you? I haven't made it, Roddy. So I'm not there yet, man. That's why I get up every single day and get it going, man. I've made more money in my life than I've ever thought I'd ever make, but I still haven't made it. My wife asks me that all the time. When's enough enough? And I'm 41 years old, and I'm enjoying every day. Uh, and I'm watching people in my organization create these badass careers and make $500,000 a year and build pools and houses and buy cool cars and Rolexes and all from working at the company. And that fucking shit is exciting. That to me is what fires me up every day. I bought Rolexes and flown on private jets and done all bullshit. Other people doing it and seeing what they're getting out of it in life is badass. That's creating a legacy for what's there. And that's exactly what I'm striving for every single day is to provide opportunity. Again, like I said earlier, people come to work to provide for their family and provide for their future. And that's what I want to be able to do as an employer and running a badass company. And we got some badass people to work there. You can really call it whatever you want, but we call it crawfish. So that might just depend if you're with Bob and Lafayette or if you're down in the South, real South, New Orleans with me. What is the worst change experience you have had and we'll push you forward through it? Um, I think we've made bad decisions and change, maybe even cutting leadership when it wasn't time to cut them, and not realizing what the outcomes were of cutting that leadership and the impact that it did to culture, and then having to rebuild that. I will tell you that if anybody can take some fault at what we've done over the years, is I've made some pretty big mistakes as a leader and learning and being too aggressive. And a lot of people in my organization had PTSD around me because of my reactions and the way I used to operate. So I think getting people to look at me through a different lens and not be afraid of me was extremely challenging. It's taken me about 2.5 years to get there. And some people still wait for me to react sometimes a certain type of way. And I'm just trying to be a better leader and be a better person in general, and realizing that that's not the answer. And that's taken a lot of hard work on my side. And it's taken a lot of time. And do I regret the way I operated as a leader? Hell no, because I don't think we would be where we are today. But I also have learned and grown. And just like I tell people, and I'm very vulnerable with my team, and I'm vulnerable with anybody, it's okay to fuck it all up and realize you did it and move it forward. I learned a lot from Kyle. I've beat my business partner down at times. And I beat myself up the same way. So
You definitely
I
hold
think,
yourself high accountable.
yes. At what point can that be handled by staff or stakeholders? I think at 2 million you can do it. I think it all depends on what you're going to invest in those folks and understanding the process and defining that process. Just like we have to define our level one help desk process and refine it as we go. Sales is the same way. So I think you should do it. Do the hard stuff. Just do it yourself, and you will get good at it. I don't give a shit what anybody says. If you just do something enough, it's like playing golf. I mean, I go play golf with my buddies. I'm terrible, but I'm not afraid to swing that club, and I'll get out there and swing that shit all damn day. And obviously by the 10th hole, I'm getting a little better, or maybe it's like the 10th beer. But at the end of the day, I think that's where you just got to do it. There's never a good time. It's kind of like being a parent. When's there a good time to have children? I don't know. I think you just got to jump in and go and have that attitude where you're not afraid. So don't be afraid. How much tech work do I do in a given week? None, because I don't know how to be a tech. Look, I think there's a place and do what you love. Abby, I see you put that you're the president of your organization. Bring in a CEO and be the president and be the CTO, be the CIO. What's wrong with that? I don't think there's anything wrong with doing the technical work. I love to sell, but I did have to get it myself out of the day to day sales perspective, and be a better leader. And that's when I had to work on things and hire a coach and lean on Kyle and other people that are in my circle to be better. And that's just what I did. I miss some of the days of like watching an install happen and looking at the end result. But at the end of the day, I got a big business and a lot of people that depend on me to run this ship. So I think it's you elevating it as a person and mentoring. You should be spending all your time where the body's buried. I'll, there's not many secrets with me. So nobody died at work. So at least I hope not. But at the end of the day, we keep a level of transparency and yeah, let the bodies hit the floor. Fuck yeah. Get fired up and just get in and go after it. And if you can't get up every single day and be excited at what you do, figure it out. Because I love what I'm doing. I love the people that I'm around. I love this industry. So you got to love it. And we do great things for people in this industry. And we get to help a lot of companies, and it's great. So, yeah,
Well,
you can.
Shawn,
I know we're
yeah,
coming up on
how can
time.
people get a hold of you if they want to keep asking questions? Are you an open
Look,
book or?
yeah, open book, LinkedIn. A lot of people message me on LinkedIn a lot and ask questions. I will respond to you. I'm not a coach. I have a lot of people asking me to coach them. Maybe one day. I will definitely do it at some point. I'm not there today. You probably wouldn't want me to coach you. I'd probably hurt your feelings pretty quickly. I've done it a few times helping people, but I'm heavy on LinkedIn,
And I hear you have a
Instagram.
course coming in empath soon.
We do. I should have that content back like in a week. And I thought it was really hard for me to review the content because I'm watching myself, but I'm super excited to bring that to empath and put that in there for everybody in the community. I'm a wide open book, y'all. This isn't rocket science, and I'm more than willing to help anybody. So, Shawn, coaching make you feel it. It'd be a good website, Wes. So, be some good shit, man.
All
Um,
right. Well, hey, Shawn, thank you so much taking time out. I know you're on vacation right now with your
oh,
girls and you got to go be a dad, but you know what? Man, the reactions were off the charts. I don't think I saw people coming in droves. Thank you again, brother. Have a great week and
I
have a great
appreciate y'all, man.
vacation. And
Thanks, y'all. I'll talk to
we'll
you
see you
soon, man.
guys at the close.
Y'all later. Bye-bye, y'all.